So I like how Mike Girvin shows different ways to solve a question, and the different solutions, people pick them based off of, are they more comfortable with pivot tables, or do they like one cell solution where it's a complex array formula? There's different ways to solve it. In this case, what we have is, the question is how many unique visitors to the site each day. So let's just do one thing here. It's just time in and time out, and we don't care if they have three different entries. This is supposed to be only one. We don't really care about the time in and time out for lunch or break or whatever, but we want this to be considered as one entry because it's the same person on the same day. So let's do this. We'll just concentrate on what's relevant here, the date and the employee. And let's click another button here, and we're going to have some conditional formatting. So this is one day, the second day, and here at the bottom is the third day. Now this could be hundreds or thousands of rows, but in this case, small data set, just as a sample. Let's look at, here's the 4 different ways that Mike solved this. They're all very interesting. You click the link here, you'll watch his video. I also did this for fun down here. When you're comparing these different ways to do it, what we can do is take this silly thing that I made. I had this drawing from a while ago. Go in here, press the Y for yes, and you see a description of the solution, which corresponds to the color up here, a possible downside to the solution, and this is like the great part of the solution, super fast. So we'll do the next one as well, and you see how you can study the next one, watch the video, look at the third one. You can also rotate this. So what you do is go down here, grab this thing, rotate it around if you want to be able to read it right side up. And then the last one, and just click yes again. So Mike's got these different videos, all great ways to do it, but I was thinking, are there any other ways to solve this? Now, his methods I would say are the most common, but there's a couple of other things that we could do. If we don't care about turning this into a report, or we don't want to learn how to do array formulas, we're just in a rush, what we could do, a one-time thing, we could just use the remove duplicates feature. If it's just a one-time task and we don't have that much data, we don't even really have to know how to write formulas or create pivots or anything. So all we have to do is highlight our data. So I copy pasted it, I remove the formatting. This is the same data that we have over on the left. Data, remove duplicates, and we just leave this. Both of these are selected. My data has headers. We click the OK button, and there we go. We have 14 rows remaining. So for the 29th, we just have to count. We have 4 unique people. Here on the 30th, we have 6, and on the 31st, we have 4. So that is one possible method if it's just sort of quick and dirty. So let's look at something else. Down here, we haven't considered yet using a helper column. And the great thing about a helper column is that some people that don't like pivots because you have to refresh them, if you forget to refresh the pivot, you could get an old or stale answer. And sometimes people don't like array formulas because can get quite complex and require a lot of studying to understand how they work. And you could easily make errors. So what can we do? Well, here's the helper column. And here's method 2. Now, what this is going to do, we have this helper column here going down beside each row. I'll press F2. So this is for row 8. This goes down like this. And then over here, for each of the 3 days, we have a simple non-array formula, just a normal formula where you click in and you see the different parts of the formula, and you press enter, just a normal function, and just drag it down. The way this works, let's take off the little part here, 1 divided by. So a countifs is just going to count for each, let's just drag this down, for each time we see, let's just click in there, F2 gets in there. Out of all these dates, we care about August 29. Out of all these employees, we care about this employee, the name here in D7. So there's 3 of them, right? For the same date, the same person, that's 3. We see the 3 repeated. But that doesn't really help us. So we have to do something with this. So if we go in here and we say 1 divided by, and we just press enter, it's just a normal function, drag it all the way down. Now for the same date, the same person, 1 divided by 3, we're getting 0.3 repeating. So if we add these up, that counts as 1. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, because Tyrone, Fran, and Gigi are only there one time on the 29th. that gives us the correct answer of 4. For August 30th, we would get a 6 because we've got Sheila's there twice, but here it's cutting it in 2. So that's quite helpful. Let's just look at all of these together. We've got a total of 8 entries, but really it's only 6 unique people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that is the correct answer. Just a simple Sumifs. This is just sort of I don't know. I've seen this so many times over the years. I can't even remember who taught this to me. But anyways, that is a neat way to do it. Method 3. Originally, I thought this would be the easy way to do it, but it's a little bit time consuming to explain how it works. I use this a lot in very large data sets because it's a very efficient solution. So here is just a simple counter. It could be with formulas. It could just be by typing 1, 2, 3 and dragging it down. Here we create our key because we care about the unique visitors or employees per date. So those two things together are making our key. Now over here, this is the real trick. What we're doing, let's look at this one. Let's take away this last part for a minute so you can see how it works. Do that. I will drag this all the way down. So we see here that on the 29th, we have 3 entries for that individual, and they're all getting 1s. Well, the match is going to look for the first time. It's going to say, all right, I want to look for that combination in our helper key, and it gives a 1 because it found it obviously right there. But look at the third time. The third time, these first 3 rows are exactly the same for date and employee combination, but it still goes back to the top and says, well, I found it right there. That's why we see a 1. So here it's a 4 because it's the first time we see Tyrone on the 29th. But look, so 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7. We see Sheila on the 30th, but the next one is also a 7 because this is a repeat. So that is the trick. So study this a little bit more, but now we're just going to say, does the match equal our counter? Very, very light way to do it. It's easy to explain to people. We drag this down. And now what we can do over here is simply use countifs to say when column A, when the dates over here in column A equal this date, and when this column in purple here equals true, I want to count them. So we get the same thing here. So up to you. Do you like method 2 or do you like method 3? If you want to see how the math works and not use an array formula. These are just normal functions. Just type it in, press enter. And then of course I got a little bit carried away. I wanted to see method 4. I wanted to see if I could use this kind of method. This is just a normal function, but do it in one cell, or basically for each date only in one cell, not have to, for each day I'd have several of them, then I had to do the additional step of adding it up over here. So what I eventually figured out was this is an array formula, and you'll have to read Mike's book. He has a new edition coming out actually. I think it's out now on Amazon. Control Shift Enter. This time has a purple cover. I'm going to get probably a couple of copies for myself. But this is definitely an array with those special brackets at the beginning and at the end. You have to press Control Shift Enter. And the reason for that is this part, let's see, right there. See how a criteria is supposed to be a single value? Here we have a range, criteria, one cell, a range, and this normally would be just one value. We could type it in, or we could refer, as we did over here, to the value in a range. But here I've got the whole thing a second time. So in this video there won't be enough time for me to explain the whole thing, how it works. But basically I'm using this trick, avoiding the helper column and doing it all in a single cell. I'm taking all of this. Let's just highlight this, press the F9 key. We see the 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, but we don't want to have that 2 there twice. So what we have to do is 1 divided by the result of that array. Highlight this, press the F9 key, and we get some errors, but we have the same, see this is the same thing, 0.5, 0.5, 1, 1, 1, 0.5, 0.5, and a 1. Exactly the same as we have over here, but it's all in one cell, all inside of here. So then because this countifs as an array is producing multiple results, we have to wrap it with sum. And we also have to get rid of those ugly errors before, see the sum can't do the math when there's errors in here. So the if error is just saying, all right, let's just replace the errors with zeros. So this is exactly what we have, which is the same thing that we have there. We add those up and we get 6, which would be the same thing as just highlighting these and adding those up. That would also give us the correct result. So, yeah, there's lots of different ways that we could do this. But basically, this book, Control-Shift-Enter by Mike Girvin, you can find it all over the place on the internet, at Mr. Excel's website, on Amazon. He also has a new version where the cover is purple. I think it's coming out soon if it isn't out already. But just an amazing book to learn all about array formulas. Of course, you can solve this with pivot tables, with a helper column and normal functions. Many, many ways to solve it. It all depends on you and what your needs are.